My name is Valerie Moore, and I am a Youth and Family Empowerment Coordinator. So one of the programs I work in is Next Step. It is a program that is for 7th through 12th grade students. For 7th and 8th grade, it's just for girls, and they learn about social emotional learning and how to prepare them for high school. What does high school look like? What can they expect? From an academic standpoint, and also just socially and emotional, how does that impact their student life? For high school students, it's all about college or what they want to do after they graduate, whether it's work, it can be a trade, hopefully college, and also they also learn about social emotional learning as well. I've been working here for 10 years. I have my 10-year anniversary in August, and all of that have been in the program. What's most challenging is that the students face a lot of barriers, and many times it's not their own creating, the barriers that they created themselves. And sometimes they're not going to get it right away. But what I've learned as my time here is that my job is to plant the seed. I don't have to know that the flower will grow. I trust that it will. And so that was a huge challenge for me in the beginning, just wanting to see the results right away. But now, over time doing this work, I understand that the results will come. It will happen. It may not happen this year, next year, but it will happen. And so I think that has been probably the most challenging part. And also not being able to give the students all the resources that they need. Even, I try very hard to find the resources that my students may need, but sometimes there's just, the resource isn't there. And so that's very challenging. So I think sometimes some of my students, especially the older students, want housing, better housing. I can't give them access to better housing. They may want jobs. I cannot hire them. I cannot give them a job. And so, I do help them search. We search a lot of places, but so that's what I mean, resources like that, and resources their family may need, such like their mom may be out of work, or some things as an agency we can help them with, but some things I have to outsource, and then sometimes it's just not creative. There's not a lot of housing programs that are for teens who are parenting, who are 17 years old. Some of my students want to access mental health, but they can't because their parent doesn't want them to. So things like that. I worked with mostly seniors and 8th graders, and so their concern was graduation, prom, the normal things that you worry about: prom, graduation, college, applications, finding housing, going away versus staying home. 8th graders were all worried about what high school they were going to go to. Starting new was a big word for them. Being in 8th grade, they've kind of been at that school. They're the big kids on campus, and then all of a sudden they're going to be freshmen, and that can be a little daunting. So I think that's what their concerns were. Just being able to continue to log in and not, and they were concerned about falling behind because they didn't know if they were going to be able to get up. Some of them didn't have access to computers or internet, but we gave them resources to be able to do that. And the schools came up with resources. So some of that was the issue. And again, for seniors, prom being taken away, they felt, and 8th grade, they felt like everything they worked for was taken away. So that was a huge thing. The thing is that they cannot access mental health without their parents' permission, because a lot of my students are underage. I've had one couple of students who said, I want to start therapy, I want to be in therapy, but their parent doesn't believe in it. So there's only so much that you can do in that case. A lot of our students are also have like medical cards. So some therapists don't accept medical cards. So how will they cover mental health? And I think so. For me, yes, the conversation is about can you find someone to talk to, whether it's me or it's another trusted adult or the other mentors in our program, or can you talk to your parent about therapy? Would you want me to talk to your parent about therapy? But a lot of our students cannot access it without their parents' permission. So that is a barrier that we're trying to find ways to address. I have been more than willing to talk to any parent. That hasn't happened. A lot of times the student may say, no, I don't think it's going to help. But so that is an area where I think we need help in, for sure. It may be having a therapist come to a group session, rethinking how we do it. But like I said, it's very hard because they need their parents' permission to access mental health. I think that my impact is something that is felt immediately, and then there's also another layer. So immediately, I think just for most of my students, they feel very connected to me. They feel that I'm a safe space, that they can come to me and talk to whatever's going on within their lives, whether it's social justice issues or home issues or just whatever comes up. So I think that's the immediate impact, is because they all need that. All of my students need to have someone that they can trust, and a trusted adult that doesn't want anything from them and is trustworthy. So I think that's the immediate impact. I think I help expand their worlds a little bit by talking about what their options really are. I think getting them to see the spark in themselves is an immediate return on the work that I do, because sometimes a lot of the students don't hear how magical and important and beautiful and amazing they are. And so I think that's a beautiful immediate impact I have with my students. The long range impacts, I think a lot of times I've had students come back and say to me, Ms. Moore, oh my God, we talked about this one thing and it came up, and I'm so glad we had that conversation. I have students, so for right now, I would say two of my students, one of them is Aisha. She was in our Next Step program. She's actually been in my program since she was a freshman. She has now graduated. She will be attending Malcolm X for nursing. I think, she had some struggles throughout high school, a little bit of fighting in the beginning. So we worked a lot about how to manage her anger, how to manage, how to conflict resolution, how to have conflict resolution that doesn't involve fighting. And so I've seen her mature in some major ways. She always has kind of been a caregiver. So for me, nursing makes sense. She take care of her mother and her siblings. So it makes sense for me that she would want to be in nursing. But I think a lot of the work we did with her was just around social emotional, managing anger, anxiety, stress, conflict resolution.